It tells us what is proper behavior. The rational order doesn't do that. That order that they create out of their heads does not give you a basis for how you should behave towards other people ma'atically. But what Plato wanted to argue, and did, was that this rationalism was also a basis for morality. So he said that the people who think best, according to his rules, were also the most moral people. You see what that does? Now that's absurd. It's like saying that the person who is the best scientist in their terms is also the person who really knows, what he's doing in life, which we know is crazy, because you get crazy people doing their science. Okay? Now, that argument also sets you up for the chapter on religion. Because then what they want to say, they want to make their religion rationalistic and have it fit this same pattern of how you gain knowledge. Okay? And say that monotheism, for instance, is the most abstract, the highest, the most civilized concept that you can have of God, when really they're not about God at all. They're not even talking about God. You see what I'm saying? They're still talking about their power. So what you got to do is follow that theme through everything. Then let's move on to, well, that page is very important because what happens is that through that argument, they become not only, they make themselves the smartest, but they make themselves the best as well. The best people, the most moral people. We go to the master race is absolutely true. And here you see what is the basis of that, okay? We go to page 51, and then we're going to see how this literate mode fit all of that, fit the need to control. The literate mode, very important. Understand here, we are not talking about literacy as of gaining knowledge. Literacy as that which is, denied us as enslaved people because they didn't want us to be able to organize ourselves. Literacy is what we need now. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the literate as a modality which is lineal, which deals with the object, which is limited. Because there's only so much that you can do in the modality of the literate as far as the African worldview is concerned. You need much, much more. There's certain things that we can do with that, but to really understand life, the universe, nature, ourselves, to interact and so forth, we need other modalities to get us beyond. We need the symbolic. Even poetry, he's not talking about here. Plato was not talking about. Plato was very much against the poets, the artists. You got to ask yourself, why? Why were these a threat? You see what I'm saying? So that's what we're talking about here. Now, do not think that the Medunetta, for instance, was limited to the literate mode. It wasn't. It went beyond that. It was symbolic. And that's important. That made it multidimensional. Made it so that we could relate to it from what was in us. You relate the inner to the outer through the symbol. See, these are the kinds of things we have to understand. Well, this definition of the literate wanted to cut all of that out, reduce it all, make it all very simple, all dealing with the outer, with what we would call the profane. Okay? That's what this section is about. Okay, we're going to skip all the way to, well, in 55, you will be reading that, write this in the text, the literate mode desacralizes desacralizes. The concept of desacralization is important. That'll be in your glossary. It's in, I think, also the vocabulary that is simplified. In desacralizing experience, the universe, it helps to create the object. And that's what the literate mode does. That's going to be picked up again in chapter 2 when we talk about the codification of their religion. Then the next section in 56 goes on to talk about lineality in European thought and how that, again, expresses and supports the asili, supports the fulfillment of their asili, how it helps them to achieve power, how it works hand in hand with the literate mode, how it works hand in hand with objectification. Okay? Always, you need to understand how these particular themes relate to the asili. This is also about rationalism. Rationalism, as they projected, reduces spirit to matter. Again, rationalism reduces spirit